William Preston Longley, known by various aliases such as Wild Bill, Rattling Bill, Tom Jones, Jim Patterson, Jim Webb, Bill Black, Bill Henry, and Bill Jackson, was a notorious murderer who terrorized the American West for 27 years. He committed his first killing at the tender age of 16. Longley grew up with deeply ingrained racist beliefs and vehemently opposed the government's Reconstruction policy, a stance that ultimately led to his execution by hanging. Born on October 6, 1851 in Mill Creek, Texas, to Campbell and Sarah Longley, William Longley's family later relocated to Evergreen, Texas. There, he attended school and assisted with the family's farm work. Longley became proficient in handling firearms before reaching his teenage years and swiftly gained a reputation as one of Texas's quickest and most accurate gunmen, often engaging in numerous gunfights. After the Civil War had concluded, Texas Governor E.J. Davis established a state police force primarily comprised of liberated slaves. This decision infuriated many Confederate Southerners who still harbored resentment from the war. In one December day in 1866, while Bill and his father, Campbell, were in Evergreen, a black police officer who had been drinking rode down the street brandishing his firearm and hurling curses at some local residents. When the police officer disrespected Bill's father, Bill stepped forward and instructed the man to lower his weapon. Unaware of Bill's sharpshooting abilities, the officer raised his gun, pointing it at young Bill, who then fatally shot the officer. Subsequently, Longley joined forces with other young men and began terrorizing newly emancipated slaves, leading to the killing of 2 more black men in Lexington, Texas. On December 20th, 1868, Longley, along with Johnson McCown and James Gilmore, confronted 3 former slaves from Bell County, resulting in the death of Green Evans. Over the following 2 years, Longley and his brother-in-law, John W. Wilson, instilled fear among black families in south-central Texas. By this point, Longley had established a reputation as a quick-draw artist and was frequently sought out by individuals aiming to build their notoriety as sharpshooters. However, those who challenged Longley on the street consistently found themselves on the losing end. Longley didn't shy away from instigating confrontations with anyone he suspected of sympathizing with the Yankees or being a carpetbagger. Standing at 6 feet tall, he also had a history of physically assaulting any black man he encountered. During this period, Longley was purportedly associated with an outlaw gang led by Cullen M. Baker in Arkansas. Some accounts suggest that he may have merely been traveling with a gang member and faced accusations by association. Eventually, he and his companion were apprehended by a group of vigilantes and lynched on charges of horse theft. However, as the mob rode away, one man turned back and fired several shots at the pair. One bullet struck Longley in the face, chipping a tooth, while another weakened the rope from which he was hanging. The rope gradually gave way under Longley's weight, ultimately breaking and saving his life. In February 1870, Longley, alongside his brother-in-law, John W. Wilson, was responsible for the killing of a black man named Bryce in Bastrop County. They were also accused of being involved in the murder of a black woman. As a response, military authorities offered a $1,000 reward for the capture of the 2 men. Shortly thereafter, Wilson, the brother-in-law, passed away and Longley decided to journey northward. Subsequently, Longley claimed to have worked as a trail driver in Abilene, Kansas, where he fatally shot his trail boss, a man named Rector, following a dispute. He also professed to have killed a horse thief named McClelland. He then fled to Leavenworth, Kansas, where he took the life of a soldier who had insulted the reputation of Texas women. This time, he was arrested, tried, and found guilty of murder. Although he was sentenced to 30 years, he managed to escape from custody. Before long, Longley joined a gold mining expedition in the Wind River Mountains of Wyoming Territory, but was left stranded when the United States Army halted the group's progress. In June 1870, he enlisted in the United States Cavalry, only to desert shortly thereafter. He was subsequently captured, subjected to a court-martial, and sentenced to 2 years of confinement at Camp Stambaugh in Wyoming Territory. After approximately 6 months, he was released back to his unit but deserted once again on June 8, 1872. Longley asserted that he resided and rode alongside Chief Washakie and the Shoshone Indians, although the accuracy of this claim is dubious. Subsequently, he made his way back to Texas by passing through Parkerville, Kansas, where he purportedly took the life of an individual named Charlie Stewart, although there are no available records to corroborate this claim. Upon his return to Texas, specifically Bell County, where his parents had relocated, Longley found employment as a cowboy in Comanche County. During this period, he was accused of killing a black man and engaging in a gunfight in the Santa Ana Mountains within Coleman County. In July 1873, Longley found himself in custody in Kerr County, apprehended by Mason County Sheriff J.J. Finney. He was subsequently transported to Austin, as Finney aimed to claim the reward. However, after several days had passed and the reward money had not been handed over to Finney, he decided to release Longley. According to local legend, it was believed that Finney received a payoff from one of Longley's relatives. In late 1874, both Longley and his brother James Stockton Longley traveled from Bell County to the Lee County residence of their uncle, Caleb Longley. Caleb implored Bill Longley to avenge the alleged murder of his son by killing Wilson Anderson. On March 31, 1875, Longley used a shotgun to fatally shoot Anderson while he was plowing a field, prompting the two brothers to flee northward into Indian Territory. In July, James Longley returned to Bell County and voluntarily surrendered to authorities. Subsequently, James was acquitted of any involvement in Anderson's murder. However, Bill Longley remained a wanted man. In November 1875, Longley took the life of George Thomas in McLennan County and then journeyed south to Uvalde County. In January 1876, he engaged in a face-to-face gunfight, resulting in the death of William Schroyer. In February 1876, Longley was working as a sharecropper for Reverend William R. Lay in Delta County, Texas. An altercation with a local man over a romantic interest resulted in Longley's arrest. However, the jail couldn't contain him for long. He soon initiated a fire, using the chaos to facilitate his escape. According to one account, the conflict stemmed from Longley's interest in the same girl who was also the object of affection for the Reverend Lay's nephew. The Reverend's attempts to intervene in the situation didn't sit well with Wild Bill, who refused to be bullied. On June 13, 1876, Longley fatally shot the Reverend as he was milking a cow. Following this incident, Longley made his way to Louisiana in an effort to evade law enforcement until tensions in Texas cooled off. However, the law eventually caught up with him, and he was apprehended in DeSoto Parish, Louisiana, by Nacogdoches County Sheriff Milton Mast. Longley was subsequently transported back to Lee County to face trial for the murder of Wilson Anderson. Shortly after his conviction, Longley wasted no time in reaching out to newspapers, sharing accounts of his life adventures and making the bold claim of having killed 32 men. He also penned a letter to the governor, pleading for clemency. In his letter, he questioned why he was facing the hangman when even the most notorious Texas gunman, John Wesley Hardin, had received a mere 25 years in prison for his 40 killings. Unfortunately, the governor did not respond to his inquiry. On September 5, 1877, the jurors in Lee County deliberated for a mere hour and a half before condemning William to death by hanging. While legal appeals were being pursued, Longley was moved to Galveston, Texas, as authorities believed it would provide him with greater protection from potential retaliation by the survivors of his victims. In March 1878, the Court of Appeals affirmed his conviction, and Wild Bill was returned to Giddings, Texas, where he was to meet his fate. On October 11, 1878, Longley was baptized into the Catholic Church in front of a crowd of thousands in Giddings, Texas. He was subsequently led to the gallows by Lee County Sheriff James Madison Brown. Displaying a touch of humor even in the face of his impending execution, Longley requested that they fix a board on the gallows before they proceeded up the steps, joking that he wouldn't want to trip and break his neck. Before the crowd of some 4,000 people, Longley claimed that he had only killed 8 men. Before Brown sent him down to his death, Longley held up his hand saying, I deserve this fate. It is a debt I've owed for a wild and reckless life. So long, everybody." Then he nodded to the executioner and was sent downward through the trap to his death. As luck would have it, an inexperienced hangman allowed Longley too much slack in the rope, causing him to touch the ground with his feet when he dropped. This unexpected turn of events prolonged his life for a few minutes while they rectified the awkward situation. Quickly, the sheriff and a group of guards rushed down to lift Bill's feet off the ground, enabling the rope to tighten around his neck and ultimately fulfill its grim purpose. The Galveston Daily News on October 12, 1878, described the hanging. "The black cap was drawn, the rope adjusted, the words already given, and at 2:37 the drop fell. The body fell 8 feet as was intended. The rope slipped on the beam, and the body continued until the feet touched the earth, when Sheriff Brown and an aide caught and raised it up and refastened it, leaving the body properly suspended. 2 moans escaped the lips. The arms and feet were raised 3 times, and after hanging 11 and 1/2 minutes, life was pronounced extinct." The historical marker at Bill Longley's grave succinctly captures the essence of his life. Bill Longley, a Texan outlaw hailing from an upstanding family, succumbed to a fiery temper, a penchant for alcohol, and the turbulent conditions of the Reconstruction era, transforming him into one of the boldest gunfighters of his time. It's believed he took the lives of 32 individuals before his apprehension in 1877. In his final days, Longley repented and implored others to steer clear of his wayward path. Interestingly, his grave once lay beyond the cemetery's boundaries. You can find Bill Longley's resting place in the Giddings Cemetery, located to the west of Giddings, Texas, on the southern side of US 290.